So you can see here, there's session 2, session 3, session 4 is waiting, session 1. So I set this up in advance. And anytime I present, especially at school, I go in and I do a hangout, which makes learning rewindable, which is what I like to refer to flipped classroom as, rewindable learning. Have you ever been in a session and wish you had a remote control and could pause the presenter and rewind what they said? I ask the kids that too. Do you wish you could do that with your teacher? And they always say, yes, I do. And have you ever gone to a professional development conference, learned something that you were super hyped about and were ready to take back to your school, but then when you got home and tried it, you got to like step 3 and you go, oh, geez. Yeah, I can't remember what to do, right? So what I've done now, it looks super psychedelic, but what this is going to do is it is called a screen share. And so anything you see on your screen is what your audience is going to see. So now what my audience is seeing is the slideshow instead of me, because I'm doing the screen share and it's recording. So like I said, it's real simple and easy to set up. So what I want to start out with is to tell you my journey and why I love Twitter so much and why it did literally save my life and change my professional career. And you're thinking, how in the world can social media save somebody's life? But it did. And no matter how many times I tell this story, I always get very emotional about it because it literally did change my life. And I want you to be able to take this back to your teachers and help them to not be who I was, and help them to do better. So it all started with a QR code. Pretty innocent enough. But in 2009, 2010, I was sitting in a high school library and I was pretty much just drawing a paycheck. I wasn't doing much more than exactly what I had to draw a paycheck. And some periodicals started coming into the library with a QR code on them. And I was like, well, what is this thing, this QR code thing? And so librarians, we research stuff, right? So I got online and I researched QR codes. But then I got really angry when I started to research the QR codes, because when I researched them, I started seeing educators who had been using them to teach with for over 2 years. I was angry because my school district had never given me a PD about QR codes and how to use them. How dare they not bring that learning to me? Why didn't they teach me about QR codes and how I could use them in my library? Because what I had been doing is what a lot of your teachers have been doing and a lot of you have been doing. From 1992 till 2009, I sat and I passively waited for my district to bring learning to me. What a complete waste. I decided at that time that I was going to go out online. If I wasn't learning about QR codes, what else wasn't I learning? What else was my district not bringing to me? So I went out online and I started searching for online PD, free online PD, because free. If it's not free, I'm not going to do it, right? And I came across this amazing woman, Shel Terrell. I love her. She is amazing. And she saved my life because I stumbled across her 30 Goals Challenge, her Teacher Reboot Camp. This Teacher Reboot Camp is still going on to this day. It started in 2010. Ironically, when I started looking for a change in my life, it was there. You don't have to start with goal 1. You don't have to work your way to goal 30. You don't have to do all 30 goals. You just start somewhere. And for so many of us, our teachers, every single one of them, even the ones like me who were just drawing a paycheck and doing not much else, we loved the kids. We wanted to do more, but we didn't know how or where to start. This gives your teachers a starting place. This gives you as an administrator a starting place if you're not sure where to start. And it gives you a support group, a great worldwide support group of educators that will help you along your journey of improvement and professional improvement. So one of the challenges in the 30 Goals Challenge was EdChat, which was started in 2010, again, ironically, when I was starting to search for better learning opportunities, by Shel Terrell, Cyberryman, who's Jerry Blumengarten, and Tom Whitby. It is now the largest Twitter chat in the world that every Tuesday brings together 2 times a day on Tuesday at 11 o'clock and at 6 o'clock Central Time, educators from all over the world to discuss topical topics of interest to educators from all over the world. The thing that they don't tell you, when you start to become a connected educator, you think it's all going to be roses and you're getting all these great ideas and you're connecting with these great people. Do you think it's going to be the happiest time of your life? It's really a hard thing, because when you start connecting with superstar educators from all over the world, you realize just how inadequate you are and what you haven't been doing, and you become completely overwhelmed because you see, wow, they're doing all of this at their school. How is that principal doing this in their school? And I can't do that. And that's the feelings I was overwhelmed with, is this is just too much. I can't be these superstar people. They're doing these things in their library. I couldn't even have thought of on my own, much less do. And one night I was just sitting crying because I felt so overwhelmed and so inadequate and so unable to even take a move forward to be better. And over that period of time, I had connected with several people on Twitter, Doug Johnson, Eric Scheringer, and several other people. And so I sat down and I wrote probably about 6 or 7 emails that night, 10 o'clock at night. And I just said, thanks for the experience, but I've got 8 years till I can retire. I think I'm just going to draw a check and slide into retirement, because I can't do this. I can't be as good as y'all are. I can't even begin to compare to you. And of course, I didn't expect anyone to respond to me, because who was I? No one. No one at all. And they're superstars. Why should they care about me? When I woke up at 5 o'clock the next morning, I decided I'm going to look at my email, but I know nobody will have responded. Every single person I emailed had responded to me. And they said, we've got your back, and you can do this. And you don't have to be this person or this person or this person. You just have to be the very best person you can be today. And that's all we expect. But we'll have your back. And they have had my back every step of the way. I've been able to do incredible things that I didn't ever think I was capable of, because I built a professional learning network, a PLN, on Twitter. I built real relations. I met people on Twitter from all over Georgia and was able to be a co-founder of EdCamp Atlanta. I was able to meet people all over the world and put together a chat nationally for teacher librarians collaboratively. I was able to go and present out in Portland, Oregon, and be the keynote speaker at their conference, at their technology conference out in Portland, Oregon this year, because I met Richard online through Twitter, and he invited me out to do that. I was able to meet Shel Terrell in person and busted out crying and said, you saved my life. I'm so in love with what you're doing. Cyberryman, Jerry Blumengarten, Tom Whitby. I was able to meet all of them. Matter of fact, this past Christmas, I traveled 2,000 miles just during that 2 weeks of Christmas. And like every 2 or 3 days, I stayed with a different person I had become friends with on Twitter, including Jerry and his wife, Gail. I got to meet their children and their grandchildren, eat dinner with them, stay at their house, let them take me on a tour of the town where they live. You build real relationships and real friendships, and these people are always there to help me if there's anything I ever need help with, because they want the best for the kids that I work with and the teachers I work with. And so they're going to be there to help me learn and help me grow. And then I, in turn, share my stories with them to help them learn and help them grow. And it's an incredible community. Eric Scheringer down there, Aaron Klein, other people, and I've been able to experience amazing things. And I'm so glad that they wrote back to me and that I didn't waste 8 more years and slide into retirement and hurt kids for another 8 years. That's my journey. That's why I feel so passionate about Twitter and what it can do for you. Now, one thing I did is I love Flipgrid because it's a way that people can express themselves in 90 seconds or less through video. And so I sent out a Flipgrid to my PLN a couple of weeks ago, and I asked them to share why leveraging the power of social media is important to you as an educator. And I specifically wanted administrators that I knew to respond to this because I knew I'd be working with administrators here. We're not going to listen to all of them, but you do have a link to this on your Moodle page. And so I'm going to take you in, and we're going to, all right, now where are you? I'm going to scroll down to 2 of the administrators I really admire the most, Dr. Neil Gupta and Eric Scheringer both responded to this. And they're going to tell you why they have embraced social media, Twitter, and some other social medias. Well, let's try that again.
Hi, my name is Neil Gupta. I'm a district administrator for a school district in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. Leveraging the power of social media has been a game changer for educational leaders. Social media has transformed my leadership ability to think outside the box by interacting with other leaders. They're doing things that I didn't even know that existed. In this age of constant change at the state and federal levels, it's difficult to stay updated to gather best practices. Instead of waiting for the yearly meeting to happen, I'm able to connect with ed leaders from across the United States to share ideas and uplift one another. I'm a huge fan of Twitter and ed chats to sharpen my sword and to get inspired. I've also recently connected on Voxer, where I speak with other leaders from across the state of Ohio and across the United States. I even participated in a book study this year. It's amazing to think of the possibilities that extend beyond the older methods of communication to now use social media to learn, to get inspired, and really ultimately to help our students grow.
Right. And then Eric Scheringer, who, by the way, used to hate technology and banned it in his school.
So important to me as an educator because it really is 24/7 constant flow of information. I can learn anywhere from anyone at any point in time. It's just being able to follow your specific personalized interests, your passions. And, I look at this, the formation of your own personal learning network through social media. You can get access to resources, ideas, strategies, track conferences, get feedback, and get support from a global network of educators. I see social media as a human-generated search engine that is always there for you whenever you need it. You could use it as little or as much as you want. And best of all, it is completely free. If you want to be empowered and take ownership over your learning and really push yourself outside your comfort zone, social media is probably the most liberating space for you.
So if you're looking for that one thing that's going to reinvigorate your teachers, give them a new reason to try something new, to try something different, this is what I would encourage you to do, is to connect them through Twitter, because it makes all the difference in the world. So let's take a look at some Twitter basics and what I like to think of Twitter as. So I like to think of Twitter as a 24/7 professional development conference, because it's really what it is. When you're on there and you're connecting with other educators, you're learning every time you do. And so we need to think of ourselves when we're on Twitter as representing ourselves as though we are walking into a real live professional development conference. So let's think about the first thing on Twitter. Let's think about your picture. Well, if you hadn't hatched yourself yet and you're still an egg, what this relates to is You've walked into a professional development conference, but you're wearing a mask, right? So you're in the professional development conference and you're wandering around with a little mask on, right? Well, we're educators. We're used to weird, right? So we might be, oh, well, okay, I don't know what's up with that. They're wearing a mask, but who knows? We're used to weird. We've seen it before. The next thing is your name. So if at that professional development conference, they haven't made you a name badge already, if they have those little stickers, those little hello stickers for you to fill out. So think about your Twitter name. When you walk into a professional development conference and you write your name on your little hello name tag, do you put Hot Mama? Do you put Go Bama? Is that what you write? What do you write in a professional development conference? Your name, right? I know a teacher whose name on Twitter is Felon Whisperer. She does work in an alternative school. But does this look good for your school? Does it look good as an educator when parents see that? No, it doesn't. And it's not going to look good in a professional development conference. So now you've walked in with a mask on your face and you got Felon Whisperer splashed across your chest. Now, we embrace weird as educators because we have to, right? And because half of us are weird anyway. But we might tell this person go sit at a different table. We might not want to sit with them, right? Then think about your profile description. Holly Sutherland, Jennifer Hogan are two administrators in Alabama. And Meg is actually with the State Department. So if you don't have a description like Meg, not only are you wearing a mask on your face, you got Felon Whisper across your chest, but when anybody asks you what you do, you don't say anything. Well, what grade do you work with? What school are you with? It's like you're sitting there at a professional development conference, people are asking you questions, and you're not answering them. You're giving them nothing to go on. Then I might call the police because why are you here? You know, I'm going to completely ignore you. You are a scary boogeyman to me here. Here, if I see you're a principal and I'm a principal, I might say, oh, cool, this is another principal. I could add them to my professional learning network so I can learn with this person and see what they're doing, right? I had the great opportunity of getting to work with both of these ladies, and they were both my assistant principals in Hoover. What they did is they actually started the Alabama Ed Chat, AL Ed Chat, that meets every Monday at 9 p.m. Central Time. I'd encourage you to be a part of that because it brings together administrators from all over the state of Alabama, and actually other states have joined in because they like our chat so much, they are joining in to the Alabama Ed Chat. Our two assistant principals give anybody who participates in Twitter chats professional development credit for that because they understand the power of Twitter and just how much learning takes place during a Twitter chat. So if you did the Twitter chat, you got an hour of professional development. One thing these assistant principals did to help their teachers get on board with Twitter, because it is such a life changer. It'll get those teachers who are just collecting that paycheck, who have lost that spark. They know the power of what that will do and how it can change them. That at 9 o'clock at night, they would meet up at the school and have Twitter parties. And teachers would come who had never been on Twitter before and bring their devices or whatever. And we'd bring food and drinks, and they would put up Twitter up on the big screen in the library, and we'd help them learn how to use Twitter and actually participate in the Twitter chat during the Twitter chat. And that would get teachers hooked and in there. I had teachers who, were in their second career and were in their mid to late 60s and could have retired again anytime they wanted to, who got so pumped up about Twitter and coming to me several days or weeks later saying, I just met this new friend who's in Minnesota and he's an English teacher like me, and this is a cool thing he just shared with me about what he did in his class, and I'm going to go try it in my class, but can you help me with that? It invigorated these teachers who didn't, they could have slid and retired anytime, but they wanted to learn and to do more things. So I love that about Twitter. So let's talk about Twitter chats. And before I show you this, It's hard to visualize sometimes what we're talking about when we talk about a hashtag. And so the hashtag for our conference is hashtag Limestone LA. And so what you want to think about is I follow about 3,000 people on Twitter. If I tried to look at what all 3,000 people are saying right now, all 3,000 are all saying different things. It would make no sense at all, right? So you have to narrow it down and look at a specific string. And so if I want to see what's being talked about just in our conference, then I'm only going to look at our hashtag. So it narrows down the focus of what I'm going to be learning about. So if I wanted to learn from this conference, like right here, I see Matt Taylor's talking about what Candy Jones is talking about and included a picture there. I can still learn from this conference even if I'm not at this conference. So if I wanted to attend like the Q conference out in California, well, I can't pay for that plane ticket and the hotel room and everything else. But if I follow the hashtag for that conference, I can still learn because people who are in attendance are tweeting about what they're learning. Matter of fact, because we've been tweeting about this and I've been tweeting about it out to my over 6,000 followers, last night I started getting text messages from administrators from all over the country asking me, how can we do a leadership conference in our school district? We are setting a trend right now here with what we're doing in Limestone County because we were willing to share what we were doing. The media does not reflect educators very well, do they? The message about educators in the media is so negative. We can be the media with social media, and we can tell our story. It doesn't have to be just their story. But if we don't step up and start telling our story about the awesome things that are happening in our school, all we're going to hear and all the parents are going to see and all the legislators are going to see is the negative. We have to tell our story, and where you tell it has to be on social media. We have to step up and do that. Schools have hashtags. Andrew Maxey, who was the principal down at Rock Quarry Middle School in, what's that little town with the ugly elephant and that team that wears that crimson and something?
Oh, yeah,
What's that horror team?
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah, right? So
Yeah,
that,
good description.
Tuscaloosa,
Good description,
something like that, right?
Yeah, Tuscaloosa. There you go.
Anyway, he developed a hashtag for his school, RQMS Jags, War Eagle fan.
There you go.
Right. And so what he did is he developed that hashtag. He went to ISTE last year, and you know those little ribbons that you get at the conferences, try to collect the ribbons? He made ribbons and took them to ISTE with his school's hashtag on there and was passing them out. They're like a collector's item now. But what that does is it builds a sense of community. When I was at Hoover, we had a hashtag for Hoover High School that we used. And what happened is teachers started tweeting about what they were doing in their classrooms. Then kids would start taking their phones. They were doing a cool experiment or a play, or they were reading a story, they were acting something out, and they would take pictures and tweet that out using our hashtag. Parents would take pictures at football games or other things or events for school, tweet out using our school hashtag, because what it became was a celebration of our school and all the amazing things that were happening in our school. So when we got stuck, when that snow came in, the snow and ice came in, and we got stuck at Hoover High School with 700 kids, our parents didn't worry because they knew they could pull up that hashtag on Twitter anytime they wanted to and see what was going on with their kids. So when they separated the boys and girls for nighttime and going to sleep, we were taking pictures. We separated the boys and girls. When CNP staff prepared dinner, we were taking pictures of the kids eating dinners to show that they were okay. The kids were playing games. They were watching movies. They were doing all kinds of things. And throughout the night, admin, teachers, students were taking pictures and tweeting so parents didn't worry about what was happening to their kids. They didn't have to call over and over again. They just went to the hashtag and knew what was happening with their kids. And we did let the parents know, one of our teachers did let the parents know that if we ran out of food, the ninth graders would be eaten first. So, we just had fun with it. Twitter chats is where the real learning takes place. A lot of schools make the mistake of they'll have a Twitter account for their school and just advertise things or announce things. Twitter needs to be a two-way conversation. It needs to be a place where you're building relationships and you're learning. So you do need that school account, but you need your personal account too, so that you can start connecting and growing and learning as an educator like I did. Because wouldn't it be a tragedy? I know for me, if I had stayed and drawn a check for 8 years and hurt children for more. I'm so glad that I chose a different path and that I had this great group of people behind me. So Twitter chats can go really fast and be kind of crazy, but they're so much fun. And it's where I find the friends I want to follow, because if somebody's contributing something I really like, then I'll follow them and I'll say, you know what, this person's on fire. I love their spirit. I love what they're sharing. I want them to be part of my PLN, and I'll follow them. So I always find new people.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
How many people can you follow on TweetDeck?
How many hashtag streams can you have?
Correct.
Oh, Lordy Jesus.
Right,
Do you see this?
Oh, okay. So that's.
And I could keep adding those.
Okay. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if it was just the screen.
Oh, no. It keeps
Because
on
that
going.
organizes all your tweets.
It organizes, yeah, all of your streams, your hashtag streams, so you don't have to keep, like, here's Hoover High School. This is for a Google Apps for Education Summit. This is EdTech for Ed.
Is that just a hashtag you put at the top?
Just hashtags.
You can't put a.
No, you can do
you can't
some
put
other
like a golf week, you know, or I mean,
hashtags.
just a hashtag.
Yeah. I mean, that hashtags are where all my learning takes place. I like to think of when you first try to do a Twitter chat, it can be overwhelming because the tweets come in so fast. The first thing you should know is don't ever try to read all the tweets. If it's good, it'll be retweeted, it'll come back around. And it's really about the conversation and connecting. I like to think of it as never having jumped rope in your life before and being entered into a double dutch contest. You just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm in here, what am I doing? And then you get back out, right? But I really love the Lucy and the Chocolate Factory example as well. So I'm going to show you this little clip, but I want you to think of when a Twitter chat starts, I want you to think of the chocolates as tweets. Okay, think of the chocolates as tweets, and I'm going to fast forward it just a little bit.
I didn't do well.
Let's see.
You and into the packing room unwrapped. You're fired, Miss Nance. Well, this is easy. Yeah, we can handle it, okay?
And you'll think that at the beginning of a Twitter chat, oh, this is no problem.
Oh.
Listen, everyone, I think Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed up!
Oh my goodness. I love Lucy. So great. So don't put the pressure on yourself to read all the tweets. It's about the conversation. It's about the relationships you build. It's about the people that you meet and can connect with and learn from. That's what it's all about. So get in there, make your voice heard. So in a typical Twitter chat, the moderator will usually start out by saying, please introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you teach. That's pretty easy to tweet out, right? The important thing is don't forget to put in the hashtag of whatever chat you happen to be in. Because if you don't use the hashtag, nobody's going to see your tweet. And I have over 6,000 followers. Still, nobody's going to see my tweet unless they happen to be staring at Twitter at the exact time that I send it. They're not going to see it. So it's kind of like, puff, it's gone. Okay? So you have to use that hashtag. The next thing a Twitter chat moderator will probably do is warn you, hey, question 1's coming up, question 2's coming up, question 3 is coming up. And they usually use, because you only have 140 characters, 140 times to touch the keyboard, they usually shorten it down to Q1, and they'll have the question. And you answer back using A1 to question 1. That way, it makes the conversation easy to follow. If you see somebody has A3 and has written something, you know they're responding to question 3. A lot of your moderators do, like with the Twitter chat that I moderate, we send out a twit poll and we let participants vote on what topic we will discuss during that 1 hour. Other moderators will decide on a topic and put that out there. And also, a lot of moderators will give you the questions ahead of time so that if you have a great website or an app or a blog or something else that you want to share during that chat, you can go ahead and get that information ready to share during the chat, because it's awfully hard to go out and search. And now, I remember there was a blog or there was a website. By the time you've gone out and searched, you've missed almost half the chat. So you want to have that stuff ready in advance. The chat I recommend you go ahead and get involved in is that AL Ed Chat, because that is the Alabama Ed Chat, and it does bring together administrators from all over Alabama to discuss pertinent things that are going on with admin at this time. So definitely connect there. Now, some other types of social media that you can use, Facebook is one, but I really see Facebook more as an announcement board. It's where you're going to reach your parents, but I've never really been able to use Facebook so much for relationship building and learning from others like I have on Twitter. Twitter, it just comes at you. It brings you all the best information. That's where I've been able to connect. But if you're wanting to reach your parents, you need to go ahead and put it out there onto other social media. Pinterest. When I told my teachers they were going to get PD credit for learning about Pinterest because I was going to do a Pinterest PD, they were like, what? I already use Pinterest all the time, right? And so they were like, I'll be there. I'll get that PD credit. But what I love about Pinterest is I like to use it as a bookmarking site. Much better than the kitty cat to use as bookmarking. And why I like Pinterest as a bookmarking site is because it's visual. And I'm one of those people who I need the visual to go along with it. Digo is a bookmarking site, but it's not visual. And this might not spark my memory. It might not trigger my memory. But a picture on Pinterest, I'll go, oh, that's right, that was that project, or that was that lesson, or that was that thing that I wanted to make sure to do. So I like that. Lesson planning. My daughter's a second grade teacher in Kansas. So she just types in second grade to Pinterest and great lesson plans and resources pop up ready for her. I know a lot of our teachers at Elkmont use Pinterest to find things. I love that. Student resources. I built a student resource Pinterest board, and so my students knew just to go to that student resource Pinterest board and they could find the resources that they needed. But the one thing I really love to use Pinterest for is a digital scrapbook of my school. So whenever there's something in the news that's really cool about my school, whatever's happening, I can go out there onto the electronic source of that news site, like the magazine that Dr. Sisk is going to be doing an interview with. If there's an electronic copy of that, we can pin that. But what if there's something cool that happened in your school and the news media didn't come in and write about it? That's where we've got to bring in blogging. Administrators should be blogging about the cool things happening at their schools. Get teachers to blog about the cool stuff happening in their class. And because it's in a blog, it's in a web format, you can pin that. And so you have this awesome digital scrapbook of all the cool things that are going on in your school that your parents can look at, other teachers can look at. And when you're in a school like at Hoover where you've got 300 teachers, you never even get to see or know even half the teachers there, but you can still learn from them because of what they're pinning and what they're broadcasting on Twitter and other social media. So it's a great way to celebrate your school. The legislator who are making choices on budgeting for your school can look at this and say, look at this school, what they're doing. I really want to give my money to them because you're telling your story. You're letting it out there and you could get that money. This is where your kids are, a lot of your kids, but they're actually migrating away from Instagram now. It's starting to become an old thing. But Instagram uses hashtags too. So I definitely, same thing you do with Twitter, do on Instagram, and celebrate everything that's happening at your school. All the cool stuff kids are learning, what they're doing, celebrate that out on Instagram. Snapchat. Well, before I talk about Snapchat, let's talk about Yik Yak. Remember Dr. Sis talked about Yik Yak the other day, bullying site? You know what? These sites are what you make them. And what I learned from Jennifer Hogan and Holly Sutherland is you can turn any negative into a positive, even with social media. And what we want to do is we want kids to fail in a safe environment inside the school rather than going out, graduating, and making mistakes with social media that could follow them for the rest of their lives. How many times do you pick up a newspaper or look online and see another teacher who's been fired for using social media inappropriately because nobody taught them how to use it properly? They weren't allowed to fail and use social media in school improperly so that then you could teach them how to use it the right way. Our kids at Hoover, they trusted our administration not to punish everybody and ban things. What our teachers did and what our admin did there is they would call a kid in if they had done something on Twitter or Snapchat or anywhere else that was inappropriate, and instead of punishing that kid, they talked to them about life choices. They talked to them about the impact this could have later in life, and they would turn it around to be a positive for the entire school. If the kid videotaped a teacher doing something embarrassing that they shouldn't have and posted it, they turned that around and they said, okay, here's why this is inappropriate. You obviously have a love of videotaping with your device. So now let's make a PSA about proper use of cell phones in the school. They didn't just ban the cell phones. When you're a classroom teacher and you got 2 or 3 kids or 1 or 2 kids misbehaving, do you punish the entire class? Is that best practice? So why should you punish an entire school? Use it to your advantage. So when the Yik Yak app came out, which you can't tell who's saying what because it's completely anonymous, but it's also only within a certain distance around your school, you can control that mess. Do you know what we did? We blew it up with nothing but positive stuff day in and day out, and within 3 days, nobody wanted to use the Yik Yak app. The ugly people who were being ugly were done with it. They'd moved on to something else. They weren't even bothering with it. And we solved that issue. We didn't block it. We didn't ban it. We didn't take away cell phones. We used it to our advantage. And that's what you have to do with every single one of these social medias is turn it around, make it a learning opportunity for your kids because they are going to fail. They are going to make mistakes. They're going to do stupid things. Which one? Is there anybody in here who didn't do stupid things in high school? Right? That they wish they could go back and change, but you can't. And it's even worse now with social media because it's forever. We've got to let them make their mistakes now and teach them, not punish them. Teach them how to do better so they can be better. So Snapchat. Snapchat's something a lot of people are like, oh no, we can't do Snapchat. But they came out with this great new feature called Stories. Vine, do y'all know about Vine? I've had IB teachers and other teachers who've used Vine and had their kids summarize a story using Vine in 6 seconds or less. They had to act out the story. There's things you can do. I've had foreign language teachers use Snapchat. They'll send out a Snapchat to their students, and the students have to respond back in the foreign language to whatever the teacher sent out to them. There are ways you can turn these social medias into positives, and the kids are already using it. They're going to be on there, so go ahead and use it for a positive for your school. George Caros was thinking, oh, we can't do Snapchat in our school, and then he changed his mind when he saw stories and the way you could use that. So I'm going to show you, there's a story here in Snapchat Stories, and it's a really cool feature. But this is a little story that you could do with Snapchat. And so start thinking about some of the ways you could use it with your kids and in your school to advertise the cool things happening. The only thing about this is I wish he had held the camera this way instead this way.
There's schools all across the country. And I want to give you a tour of one of the most technologically advanced, awesome schools that I've ever been to, Lowry Primary School. So when they were designing this school, what they did that was unique is they actually put the kids' input into the design. Check it out. So as soon as you walk in, opens up to this massive room.
Isn't that cool? And the kids designed this.
So what they did in designing this is they made the library the center of the classroom. I don't know if you can see it.
Watch this.
Also have a slide. And
Like
all
Ron
of the
Clark
windows
Academy,
automatically
the slide.
Open and close depending on the weather outside related to the temperature inside. So just randomly the windows just open and close depending.
Yeah, the windows are
on
programmed.
how the most sustainable. Then they have these meters that show exactly how much energy the school is using at that time. And it comes up here to the second floor. Shows how much solar power and wind energy they're generating from the wind outside, and how much gas right there. And then the next one is how much water they're consuming. One of the rules that the principal told me is the slide never closes. And also throughout the
I so want to go down that slide. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but this is just an example of how you could use Snapchat in a positive way to tell your school's story or to have kids tell a story. And why force kids to use something they're not comfortable using? Why not meet them right where they are with something they're already proficient using? So that's another thing that you could use. So if there's one message I hope that you take away from this is social media needs to be used to tell your school's story. Getting that story out there so that you can counteract the negative things media is saying about us and tell your story. Using it to connect, to grow, learn, and share together. You don't have to be in this alone. One thing that really saddened me a few months ago is I read about a Georgia principal who, after a board meeting, she had been admonished by her superintendent because her school was the lowest performing school in the district. She went back to her school and to her office and killed herself. Being an administrator is tough. You get dumped on a lot by everybody around you and lots of expectations. If you connect, build a strong personal or professional learning network, you've got administrators across the world who are going to have your back. Now, how do we get people connected? Right here. There's an official chat list. So where are our assistant principals? Do we have any assistant principals in here? All right, every Sunday night, not every Sunday night, yeah, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, there is a hashtag AP chat for assistant principals. There is a CP chat for connected principals, if you want to be a principal, in a principal chat, first grade chats, and right here, and this is in your Moodle, you're going to see that there are chats here for every single subject area. Let me tell you real quick about SS Chat. SS Chat meets Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central Time. Social studies teachers. Remember when Osama bin Laden was killed? We all found out late on a Friday afternoon. SS Chat got together over the weekend. Social studies teachers all across the nation got together using SS Chat, and they developed lesson plans from who is Osama bin Laden, introducing videos, websites to go to, other resources, all the way to assessments from beginning to end, so that social studies teachers all across the nation had a lesson plan to walk in with on Monday morning and start teaching about what happened. That's the power of connecting. You didn't have to come up with that lesson plan on your own. Your brain hive mind was able to come up with that, because 2 minds are better than one. 100 minds are better than that, and 1,000 minds are even better. You're learning and growing together to globally do what's best for kids. Now, I'm also often asked, who should I follow? It's not about the follow, it's about the hashtag. When you get into the chats and you see someone's contributing, follow them. That's what I do. But if you still want to know who to follow, this is on your Moodle page as well. Cybrary Man, who's Jerry Blumengarten, has gathered a PLN stars, and he has for every subject area you can think of: English chat, math chat, music chat, there's art chat, school psychologist and counselor chat. ed chats. Every chat you can think of, he's put on there who are the movers and shakers in the education community, who are the superstars in those different areas. Social studies, science chat, special ed chat, middle school chat, coaching chat. It's all out there for you to get involved with, and some people you might want to start following. But again, it's not who you follow, it's the conversations that you have. Here's the CP chat for administrators and who to follow. And it's about building those relationships, learning and sharing together, and more than anything, telling your school's story so that people know the amazing things that are happening right here in Limestone County and in your school. So I'm always on Twitter. Always on Twitter. I've been in Twitter jail. There is a Twitter jail. I didn't think there was, but there was when I got put into it. And you can always contact me. I have my Twitter connected to my text message. So if you tweet me, I get a text message and can get back to you right away, and can help you with anything that you need. So it is time for us to move on to our next session. I hope that you learned some good things that you can take back to your faculty and staff. Thank you for your time.
What is Twitter jail?
Twitter jail is when you tweet too much in a period of time, and then they freeze your Twitter account for a certain amount of time so you can't tweet. But I was moderating a chat.
And you live to tell about it?
And I have several Twitter accounts, so if I get thrown in Twitter jail, I can go to a different account.
Why do they care? Bandwidth?
No, I don't know why. But I did contact them and tell them I was a Twitter chat moderator, so it hasn't happened to me but that one time.
I thought when you said that it was you had to raise money.
Oh, and I'm done recording, so I'm going to stop.